Can I just go to the washroom? No, I'm kidding.
No.
Hang on. Welcome to Off Our Needles. I'm Jodi.
And I'm Tracie, and we are the Grocery Girls.
We are. Today is everything Superwash.
The do's, the don'ts, the tragedies. One time I actually did knit a cowl in a beautiful non-superwash yarn, and it wasn't drying fast enough. So I just thought, okay, I'm gonna put it in the dryer for a few minutes on a really low temperature. Felting is a thing. I now have a pot holder.
I remember that cowl.
It was
That's
so
hard.
sad. I can't.
I've had a couple of times where by mistake, something gets in the laundry and then
Yes.
it comes out. And one I can remember specifically was the cutest hat. I wore it often.
Yeah.
And it could now fit a doll.
It can be a major heartbreaker,
Yeah.
which is why superwash wool is a fabulous choice for easy care, right? You can wash it, you can dry it sometimes, and you won't affect the piece. And it's great for gift knitting because lots of people, don't want to hand wash their gift knits.
Yeah, Superwash is something I will choose every time because I'm really lazy with washing my knitting.
Yeah.
So if I can wash it on gentle and dry it on very low,
Yeah.
that's going to be me every
There's
time.
so many things to consider about superwash and non-superwash yarns, and we are so lucky today. We actually have an expert that's going to come help us decode all of that. Sunne Meyer is going to join us right after this. We are so excited today to welcome Sunne Meyer, Yarn Production Manager at Craftsy. Her whole world is yarned. Hello, Sunne.
Hello, Sun.
Hi, Jodi. Hi, Tracie.
Thank you so much for coming to join us to talk about superwash wool today.
Thank you for having me. I love wool and I love superwash wool. There's nothing easier. Generally, wool is a fiber that has these little scales that sort of jump out, and in a wool that's not superwashed, the scales will sort of find each other and bond. And in superwash, what they do is take the scales and make them so they don't bond together.
That eliminates what felting, right? Is that what you're talking about?
That eliminates felting.
Okay.
And it creates a yarn that's just a little bit softer because sometimes those scales are what scratch you or make you itch when you're wearing wool.
Right. People say it's prickly or whatever. That's what they're talking about. Yes. Okay, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
So all wool starts as natural wool. And how does it get to become superwash wool?
So there's two different processes. In one, the scales are sort of glued into the yarn with a resin.
Okay.
In the other, the scales are sort of shaved down in a chemical process. So there have been a lot of really cool developments in the last few years with superwash yarn, thanks to the Department of Defense, because all superwash wool for military uniforms has to be made here in the US.
Oh.
So they've made the process a lot less caustic and a lot friendlier for the environment. It's really exciting.
So we can feel really good about using superwash wool.
We can feel really good about using superwash wool.
Are there any other animal fibers we can have for Superwash?
There are not any other animal fibers for superwash. Things like alpaca actually felt much faster than a wool does. So
Okay.
you want to be careful on those blended yarns.
No superwash cashmere.
No superwash cashmere.
Wah, wah. Oh well. Do we pay more for a superwash yarn?
We do pay more for a superwash yarn because there is an extra set of processing in there.
Okay.
But it's worth it.
I think so too. There's so many pros, right?
Is it better or worse for dyeing? How does it take the dye differently?
It is so much better for dyeing because the dye really wants to soak into those chemicals and it just makes it such vibrant colors.
Sunne, I hear you have a list of do's and don'ts that are going to help us with superwash yarn.
I do.
Okay.
Do knit socks. Don't knit really large projects. Do knit shawls. Don't knit projects that need to be steeped or cut. Do knit baby and children's items. Don't aggressively block your superwash items. Once they get larger, they don't go back. Do knit lace and block it aggressively. Do dye your own superwash yarn. Don't put superwash projects in the dryer. Do wash your superwash items in the washing machine on a gentle cycle in a garment bag with a wool wash. The more gently you wash your item, the longer it will last. Don't get mad if your superwash single pills. Do make things that will be worn next to the skin. It's very soft. Do use superwash for gifts.
Okay, that clarified a lot of things that I had questions about. Thank you so much, Sunne. And I think maybe we should check out a project that's made in superwash yarn.
Let's do that.
Okay.
So we've got a project knit in Superwash, and this is the 5-line shawl. Tell us why it works so well for shawls, Sun.
It has really great drape, so it's gonna just fall really beautifully. It's also gonna stick to itself just enough that it's gonna stay where you put it when you walk around and wear it all day.
I love that. And when you're blocking it, right? This is Superwash is beautiful. for that.
Absolutely, and it's gonna block to be about 30% bigger than what it started off your needles.
Which I love.
Really?
I love a big shawl that I can wrap and wrap and wrap. So that's great.
Considerable.
Yeah, Superwash really has great stretch to it because it doesn't have those scales to hold its shape.
Yeah.
So it really does grow when you block it.
So it's a fabulous choice for shawl knitting.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I made the mistake, son, of knitting a sweater in Superwash and very quickly realized after blocking it was the so wrong choice for a sweater.
It's tough for a sweater because your
It was a
sweater's going to
cardigan.
get longer and it's not going to hold its shape as well. So use a smaller needle to tighten up the gauge a little bit and do something that's seamed. Those are your two best Superwash sweater tips.
And if you overblock a Superwash yarn, is it possible to put it on a low dryer and bring it in a little bit? Or are you kind of stuck on that large size?
You're a little bit stuck, but try putting it in the dryer and see what happens. It's the agitation of the dryer that will bring it back.
Okay.
If anything will.
Okay.
So we put together a link in the description box below with lots of Superwash inspiration and lots of Superwash yarn.
That is going to be amazing. Sun, thank you so much for coming and demystifying Superwash yarn for us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Sun.
Anytime. Thanks for joining us so much today, you guys.
Don't forget, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and let us know in the comment box what Superwash you're knitting.
Absolutely. Happy knitting. See you next time.
Bye.